The Ignorant Book Collector, Section 8. I should like to tell you of an incident that took place at Delphi. Thologun C. the Geeseste TPC Genomenon. A man of Tarentum, evangelist by name, a person of some distinction in Tarentum, desired to obtain a victory in the Pythian Games. As far as the athletic competition was concerned, at the very outset, that seemed to him to be impossible, as he was not well endowed by nature either for strength or for speed. But in playing the lyre and singing, he became convinced that he would win easily, thanks to the detestable fellows whom he had about him, who applauded and shouted whenever he made the slightest sound in striking up. So he came to Delphi resplendent in every way. In particular, he had provided himself with a gold-embroidered robe and a very beautiful laurel wreath of gold, which for berries had emeralds as large as berries. The lyre itself was something extraordinary for beauty and costliness, all of pure gold, ornamented with graven gems and many-colored gems, with the Muses and Apollo and Orpheus represented upon it in relief. A great marvel to all who saw it. Tarandios evangelos tunima ton uk aphenon into torandi epithemisen nikisa pythia. Tamen gun tis grimis ag Onias avtika evoki avto avinata ina mita pros iskin mita pros o kitita ev pevikoti. Kithara the ke o the radios kratisin episti. Ipo kataraton anthropon us icha periefton epinundon ke vondon apota ke to smikrotaton ekinos anacrusato. Iken un is to stelfus tis to alis lambros ke v ke astheta chrysopaston p somnos ke staphanon daphnis chrysis kaliston os andicapru tis daphnis smaragdos in isomegasthis tokarpo. Teen men ge kitharon of teen iberfies t crema is kalos ke polytelion chrysumen tu a kiratu pasan svragisi the kelithis pikilis katake ko zmimenin muson metaxi ke apollonos ke orpheos endetor nevmenon endetor menevon thavma mega tis orosi. When the day of the completion at last had come, there were 3 of them, and evangelists drew place on the program. Epi the gun poteke e tu agonos imera tris menisan elechen the meson of tone of evangelos adin. So after Thespis of Thebes had made a good showing, he came in all ablaze with gold and emeralds and beryls and sapphires. Thespin ton thiveion ufavlos agonisamenon iserkate olos perilampomenos tokirisu ketis samar agthis ke virilis ke yakinthis. The purple of his robe also became him well, gleaming beside the gold. Kei porphyra the prepe, tis esthetos imerexi to Chrisou via feneto. With all this, he bedazzled the audience in advance and filled his hearers with wonderful expectations. Tu tis opisi proc plexas to theatron ke thaumastis elpidos amblisas tus theatas. But when at length he had to sing and play, whether he would or no, he struck up a discordant, jarring prelude, breaking three strings at once by coming down upon the lyre harder than he had ought, and began to sing in an unmusical, thin voice, so that a burst of laughter came from the whole audience. And the judges of the competition, indignant at his presumption, scourged him and turned him out of the theater. Epidhipote ke asa ke kitharisa pandos ethi. Anacruate men anarmoston ti ke syndicon aporigisi the tris ama cordas so spothoteron to theondos empasen ti kithara. Adin the archete apomuson ti ke lumpton ostegelosta men parapondon genesta ton theaton tus athlothetas the aganak tisandas epiti tolmi masti gosandas afton ekvalin to theatru. Then indeed that precious simpleton Evangelos cut a comical figure with his tears as he was chived across the stage by the scourgers, his legs all bloody from their whips, gathering up all the gems of the lyre, for they had dropped out when he had started his flogging. Otoper ke geli otatos ophthi thakrion o Chrisus evangelos. Ke ipoton mastigophoron siromenos diamesis tiskinis ketas skeli kathimatomenos ekton mastigon ke silegon kamathan tis kitharas tas sphagidas exapepokatsan gar kakinis simastigumenis of toe. Section 10. After a moment's delay, a man named Evmelos from Elis came, who had an old lyre fitted from wooden pegs and a costume that, including the wreath, was hardly worth 10 drachmas. But as he sang well and played skillfully, he had the best of it and was proclaimed victor, so that he could laugh at Evangelus for the empty display that he had made with the lyre and his gems. Indeed, the story goes that he said to him, Evangelus, you wear golden laurel being rich, but I am poor and wear the laurel of Delphi. However, you got at least this much by your outfit. You are going away not only unpitied for your defeat, but hated into the bargain because of this inartistic lavishness of yours. There you have your own living image in Evangelist, except that you are not at all put out by the laughter of the audience. Mikron the episkon metafton ev milos tis Elios iserkete kitharon men paleon echon Silinus the kolopos epikimenin esthete the mogis sinto Stefano theca drachmon axion al utos ge asas dexios ke kitharesis kata tonomon tis technis ekrati ke anarchiritato ke tu evangelu kategela matin Ampomphevsandos tikithara ke tes fragisin ekinas. Ke epin gelegate prosopton o evangela. Si men krisin vafnin perikise plutis garego the openis tin delphikin. Plin tuto gemonon oniso tis scavis otimi the ele umenos apiti eti aberchi ala misumenos proseti theatin ateknon sutaftin trifin peripoda dc ke evangelos utos paroson si ge Udoligon meli tugelotos ton theaton. It would not be out of place to tell you another story about something that happened in Lesbos long ago. Uk akiron theon genitoke lesbion mithon. Tina the aegisus thesi pale genomenon. They say that when the women of Thrace tore Orpheus to pieces, his head and his lyre fell into the Hebrus and were carried out into the Aegean Sea. And the head floated along on the lyre, singing a dirge, so the story goes, over Orpheus, while the lyre itself gave out sweet sounds as the winds struck the strings. In that manner, they came ashore at Lesbos to the sound of music, and when the people there took them up, burying the head where their temple of Dionysus now stands, and hanging up the lyre in the temple of Apollo, where it was long preserved. Ota ton Orphea, the espasonda a threte, fa si tin kephalin of two sin ti lira iston evron empasusus ekvlithina is ton melana kolpon ke epiplin getin kephalin ti lira tin men adusan threnon tina epito or phi os logos. Tin liran thef tin epihin ton anemon empiptondon tes cordes keuto meta odis prosenechthina tilesvo Akinus analomenus tin men kephalin katathopsa ina perninto vachion of tis esti. Tin liran the on Athena is to Apollonos to Euron, ke epipoli ge sosus the of tin. In after time, however, Neathus, the son of Pittacus, the tyrant, heard how the lyre charmed animals and plants and stones and made music even after the death of Orpheus without anyone's touching it. So he fell in love with the thing, tampered with the priest, and by means of a generous bribe prevailed upon him to substitute another similar lyre and give him the one of Orpheus. After securing it, he did not even think it safe to play it in the city by day, but went out into the suburbs at night with it under his cloak, and then, taking it in hand, struck and jangled the strings, untrained and unmusical lad that he was, expecting that under his touch the lyre would make wonderful music, with which he could charm and enchant everybody, and indeed that he would become immortal, inheriting the musical genius of Orpheus. At length the dogs, there were many of them there, brought together by the noise, tore him to pieces. So his fate, at least, was like that of Orpheus, and not only the dogs answered his call, but by it became very apparent that it was not the lyre which had wrought the spell, but the skill and the singing of Orpheus, the only distinctive gifts that he had from his mother. While the lyre was just a piece of property, no better than any other stringed instrument. Chrono the Easteron, Neanthron tone to Pitaku, to Tiranu Tafta Iperatis Liras, Pin Phenomenon, Os Achille Men Theria, Kephita Kelithus. Amelothi the Kematatin to Orpheus Symphoron, Mithenos Optomenon, Is erota tu Demetos, Empicene, ke Theaphtheranda, Tonurea, Megalis, Cremasi, Pisa, Epathenda, Ateron, Omion, Liron, Thunavto, Teen to Orpheus. Lavonda the Methimeron men enti polychrista uk aspheles iesta ina nictor the ipo colpo aconda monon pro althene isto pro ostion ke pro hierisamenon Kurin ke sin taratin tas cordas ateknon ke amuson neaniskon elpisenda meli tina thespecia ipi hisin tin liran ip on pondas katathelxin ke hilisin ke olos makarios asista clearing Cleronomisenda tis Orpheus musicis. Acri the sinelthondas tus kinas proston econ polytheisan aftothi the spasista tone os tuto gun omion to orphi pathin kemonis monus fa of tone sincalesta tus kinas. Otaperke sa festata ofthi os uk ilira I thelgusa in alla itakni ke I othi ke mona exerita to orphi parotis mitros I birken ilira the alos stima in then aminon tone alon var vitone. Section 13. But why do I talk to you of Orpheus and Neanthus, when even in our own time there was and still is, I think, a man who paid 3,000 drachmas for the earthen lamp of Epictetus the Stoic? KTC ton Orphea e ton neanthron lego. Opo ke kathimas of tu sigenito tis ke etiestin ima. Os ton epictetu lichnon tu stoiku kera meun onda triskilion drachmon aprieto. He thought, I suppose, that if he should read by the lamp at night, he would forthwith acquire the wisdom of Epictetus in his dreams and would be just like that marvelous old man. Ilpisingar ima kakinos I ton nikton ipakino to likno anagignoski aftika mala ke tin Epictetus Sophian honor Epictetus the ke almost assis the to thamasto akinu gerundi. And only a day or two ago, another man paid a talent for the staff which Proteus the Cynic laid aside before leaping into the fire. Chthesda ke proin alos tistin proteos tu ki niku bacterian in katathamenos ilato istopir talandu kakinos aprieto ke akimento ki leon tuto ke viknosin os tegatatu kalidoniu yos to therma ke thivei ta osta tu giri onu ke memphita tis isidos tus plocamus. And he keeps this treasure and displays it just as the Tegeans do the skin of the Caledonian boar, the Thebans and the bones of the Geryon, and the Memphites the tresses of Isis. Yet the original owner of this marvelous possession surpassed even you yourselves in ignorance and indecency. You see what a wretched state the collector is in all conscience, he needs a staff on his pate. Avtos the o2 thavmastuk dimatos, the spotis, ke avton se ti apidevsia ke the liria iparicodisen oras opos kakodemonos the yakite bacterias istin kephalin os alethos theomenos. Section 15. They say that Dionysius used to write tragedy in a very feeble and ridiculous style, so that Philoxenos was very thrown into the queries on account of it, not being able to control his laughter. Well, when he discovered that he was being laughed at, he took great pains to procure the wax tablets on which Aeschylus used to write, thinking that he too would be inspired and possessed with divine frenzy in virtue of the tablets. Legata de ke Dionysion tragothion, pien favlos pani ke gelios, osaton philoxenon polakis. Diaptin istas latomias empasin udinamenon katekin ton gelota. Utos tinin pithomenos os gelate to esquilu pixion is o akinos egrapha. Sin poli spudi ktisamenos ke aftos oato an theos asista ke katokos ektu pixiu. But for all that, he wrote on those very tablets, and what he wrote was far more ridiculous than what he had written before. For example, alomos in afto akino macro geliotera egraphan ia kati no to. Doris, the wife of Dionysus, is dead. Thoris teth niken e Dionysiu gini. And again, K. Pauline, Alacade, a right good wife have lost. Imigineka Crisimin Polisa. For that came from the tablet, and so did this. K. Tutugar Actu Pixiu K. To. 'Tis of themselves alone that fools make sport. Of Tisgar and Pezusid, E. Miri Vrotone. The last line Dionysius might have addressed to you with a special fitness, and those tablets of his should have been gilded for it. For what expectation do you base upon your books that you are always trimming them, smearing them with saffron and oil of cedar, putting slip covers on them, and fitting them with knobs, just as if you were doing so, derive some profit from them? Just as though you're going to derive some profit from them. Oh, yes, already you have been improved beyond measure by their purchase, when you talk as you do. But no, you are more dumb than any fish, and live in a way that cannot even be mentioned with decency, and have incurred everybody's savage hatred, as the phrase goes, for your beastliness. Tuto men ge pros se maliste evstokos on irimenon to Dioniso, ke diavto chrysosa avtu ethi akino to pixion. Tinagar elpida, ke avtos echon is ta Biblia, ke anati litis ai, ke diakolas, ke pericoptis, ke alifthis to croco, ke ti cathro, ke diphtheras epi perivalis, ke omphalus antithis, os the t apolavson afton, panigun idi veltion, geganisa the atin onin, os tiafta men phthegi, malon the tone iskion, aphanoteros vis the os ut ipin colon, misos the agrion, fasi parapandon echis epiti the lyria, os tiutus apirgatsato ta Biblia figi pefteon on in oti porotato apoptone. If books made men like that, they ought to be given as wide a berth as possible. Two things can be acquired from the ancients: the ability to speak and to act as one ought, by emulating the best models and shunning the worst. And when a man clearly fails to benefit from them, either in the one way or the other, what else is he going to do? But what else is he doing but buying haunts for mice and lodgings for worms, and excuses to thrash his servants for negligence? The the ondine at an paraton paleon tisk disato, leginta venus the ke protein ta veonda zelo, ton ariston, ke figi ton chironon oton mita akina, mita tafta, phaenita tis parafton ophaluminos. Ti allo itis misi diatrivas onita, ke tas tilfas ikisis, ke pligas os amalusi tis iketes. 18. Furthermore, would it not be discreditable if someone, on seeing you with a book in your hand, you always have one no matter what, should ask what orator or historian or poet it was by, and you, not knowing from the title, should easily answer that question? And if then, for such topics often spin themselves into some length in a conversation, he should either commend or criticize something in its contents, and you should be at a loss and not have anything to say. Would you not then pray to the earth to open up and swallow you for getting yourself into trouble like Bellerophon by carrying your book about? Posta u kino escron, itis antichiri econdasa viblion idon, aida ti pondos achis, erito utinos I ritoros, I si grapheos I pi2 estin, si the ectis epigraphis idos praos ipis tuto ge epite ite osphilita tiafta en sinusia prochorin ismikos logon omen epeni ti et oto ton egegramenon si the aporiis ke mi then echis ipin uk evxi tota chanin si tingin katas eftu o velerofondis periferon to viblion. And that is the end of section 18. I will start again with the next section being the last sections. It's going to be sections 19 through 30. And that will finish out the dialogue. Thank you very much.